Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, a lot of you are really enjoying the karma, soul family, um, whatever. I don't know what to call it, a series, or I don't want to call it lectures or teachings, I guess, that I've been doing. And so this one, I got a lot of questions about how do I reverse my karma? How do I know what my karma is? And again, just to make it really simple, you number one, you belong to a soul family. Number two, your soul lives on the other side of the sun. That's why when you come through the sun, right? You come through the sun, that's how you come birthed into the world. All right? You can see he's from the sun, he lands down, there's cement here, you're of the earth. Flowers growing, you become of the earth. You're born innocent, right? So you come through the sun, generally with your soul family, right? To learn lessons or to improve yourself or to experience love, to experience earth. So many people say, I'm never coming back here again. And that's what you think now. But when you're on the other side, you have a completely different point of view. You're like, oh, that was a good lesson. Oh, yeah. Oh, let's do that over. Honestly, that's what, otherwise, earth would be empty right now. Nobody would be here. You come here to experience love, to experience pleasure, to experience physical. That's what a lot of the spirits that get to the other side, they miss being physical. For example, I think Queen Elizabeth said one time she misses eating ice cream. You don't eat over there. You don't have that tongue pleasure, that taste pleasure, that kind of stuff. So to come down to earth is almost like an amusement park in some respects. Yes, we have some crazy lessons to learn. We come down here to experience it all. And we come down here, you do not belong to earth until you take your very first breath. You're not, there's no, two souls cannot live within the same body. So, yes, you hover around your mother, you hover around your parents, because you're getting to know them, you're introducing them to your energy, they're falling in love with you, you're falling in love with them, etc., etc. You want to feel safe when you do take that first breath, that you know what you're getting yourself into. So you take that first breath, the silver cord attaches, kaboom. You now have a earth chakra and a universe chakra that is attached to, with all these other energy chakras in the middle, attached to this silver cord. You cannot leave earth until that silver cord snaps. So yes, there's a lot of near-death experiences, and that's all they are, is near death. They did not die and come back. Once that silver cord snaps, you are gone. You have left the earth plane. You've disconnected from your physical body. All right? So just a quick catch up if you haven't seen the other lessons. If you haven't seen my the Antichrist, you need to see that before you continue with this, and it tells you exactly what the Antichrist is. All right. So we talk about karma. So what if you come down here and you um, accumulate karma? Well, I've done that lesson on karma, the different degrees of karma. The worst karma you can do is when you hurt another person, especially if you take their life on purpose. Some people, it's a contract that, we're going to leave at the same time, and this is what's going to happen. And you know this well in advance. Can you undo it? What if you get to Earth and go, oh, no, 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 no? Of course, you always have free will. One of the tenets that I've always been taught is that you always have free will. You have free will to come back down to Earth. You have free will to go off to wherever you want to go. You have free will to change soul families, although you won't like it. But you're free to do it and try it out. You probably won't do it again. Doesn't feel good. You're free to believe it or not, you're free to leave at any time you want. And it's a little bit different than the lesson I did on suicide. Yes, you're free to leave whenever you want, but there's certain provisions around that. So if you do happen to leave at when you want, and it really wasn't your time in your contract, then you will stay earthbound until you would have naturally lived here. All right. But you are free to say, you know what? I've kind of had it. I really don't want to do this anymore. My life has been kind of crappy. And then the universe will work its ways to take you out. That's different than a suicide. And in some respects, we all commit suicide. We all get to a certain age. Okay, I'm 110. Please, for the love of God. Right? And we just don't wake up the next morning or some such thing. But you always have a chance, and there's certain doorways that we do have. One of them is 27. Your Saturn return is a big one. And I'll show you why in a minute. 36, 45, 52. And then I think the next one is 65, 72, 88, and 92. Those are natural doorways. And if you have a big enough family and you look, you'll recognize some of those years. All right. Some of them match up with your Saturn return. Some of them are close, or some of them match up with your K2 and Rahu return too. Anyways, what if you have accumulated some karma? Now what? And we talk about the only way you can accumulate really bad karma that's very difficult to overcome, but you can, is if you hurt another person. And the severity that you hurt that other person, man, woman, or child, depends on how much karma you have to pull yourself out of. Yes, karma can go from lifetime to lifetime, so that you learn the lesson, so you know what it feels like. Basically, is the best way to get out of that karma on the other side when you come back. Anyways, so let's say you just have a little bit of karma. Maybe you ripped off somebody. Maybe you, didn't pay that bill. Perhaps you took advantage of somebody's goodwill. I mean, we're all human, right? Perhaps you cheated on your spouse once or something, or we're all human. We all have these little things. Maybe we bullied somebody at school, and or some such thing. Maybe we got drunk and yelled at somebody we shouldn't have, and we want to clean it up. We want to clean it up because we don't want to do this ever again. So I told you what the biggest karma that you can. All you have to do. Sorry, the clock wants to interfere. Is the 7 deadly sins. Right? Lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, envy, wrath, pride. All right. So if you engage in any of those, sloth, a lot of us are sloth. We doom scroll on our phone rather than look after our bodies, for example. Or, we over gamble or we over drink and we aren't looking after our bodies. And that would be the bottom 3 chakras, living in that. The hedonism. And then we have also, then you can live in the Araman, which is the mind karma. And that's where a lot of us are living right now with technology, right? And that's your envy, that's your wrath, that's, your pride, and those are all mind things. Those are all mind. So when you live in that, when you live more in your mind, and you neglect your body, you're creating an imbalance, a karma. If you don't live by your heart, I'm going to get to that in a minute, you can unbalance your karma. So it's quite easy to fix your karma and balance your karma once again, once you know which one of the 7 deadly sins that you are projecting. Lust, are you lusting for something material? Lust is your sacral chakra. that's wanting too much sex, or you know, if you look into the eyes of a prostitute, they've really damaged their soul. Sex without love is so damaging to your heart. It really is. You know what? Let me back up here. Let me show you the chakras first before we carry on. So Mars is your root chakra. And you think the root chakra is red, and we call Mars the red planet because it's obviously red, but it is, we always say it's most like Earth. But Mars is your root chakra, not to be confused with the Earth chakra that tethers your your silver cord. That's brown. That's something altogether. So Mars is your root chakra is represented by Mars. Your sacral chakra, which is your creation chakra, which is the orange one, is represented by Venus. Creation, pregnancy, that's where all your sex organs live. Your solar plexus, well, your sun, no duh, belly button, hello. The heart chakra, believe it or not, is the moon. That's your emotions, right? The throat chakra, of course, is Mercury, the communication planet. The third eye, this is where some contentious issues come in, and I'm not sure where it got flipped, is Jupiter, expansion, right? And your crown chakra is Saturn. Now, you'll see a lot where they flip these two, and it's impossible to have that because if you've taken my Teaching Tarot course, you know that the Wheel of Fortune, the four fixed signs here, Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, they all have open books because this expansion, this Wheel of Fortune, you learn things. You're learning things. You're learning, and that's why the wheel keeps turning. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. And good to bad, good. And you learn your lessons. You learn your lessons. You learn your lessons. Well, when you get to the world, you'll see the same four. We still have a wheel, but there's no more book. So I got to cover up the boobies there. By the time you get to by the time you complete, this is successful completion. You've learned all your lessons. You still have Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus here, but if you see, there's no more books. So it can't be this way. You can't say, I know everything. Oops, now I have to learn it. So that's my discourse and my argument that a lot of the people who teach that Saturn is the third eye and Jupiter is the crown chakra are wrong. And I say so. But that's my reasoning why, is because it's not the natural progression of things. All right. All right. So let's get back to the seven virtues and the seven deadly sins are attached to each of these planets. And these planets are attached to your energy centers called chakras in your body, and this makes up for your aura. And your aura is all of these colors all at once, but normally one of these colors are brighter than the others because your aura can change. It has all these energy colors in it, right? From red, orange, yellow, green. It's green or sometimes pink because it's the heart, blue, indigo, and violet. All right. And then your crown, your other chakra that sits above there is white. And the one above that is called violet flame. It's a completely different kind of chakra, but you've got one chakra that sits about anywhere from 6 inches to a foot. I call that the post office to the universe. And you've got a brown one down here. And in between runs your silver cord out from your universe chakra out to the sun, right? Okay. All right. So you've got your 7 virtues and your 7 deadly sins. So I put the deadly sins in reverse here, smaller. So when your aura is a color that is icky, and it can be icky and sticky. And if you can see auras, you look at some of these celebrities and it's just like, oh my God, like greeny, slimy, um, well, it's just like snotty. Oh, they're like diarrhea. Oh, it's awful. They're awful, awful colors. But in the meantime, let's say like pregnant ladies will really glow orange because they're creating. That's sometimes how you can see somebody who's really pregnant. They just really, and they say, oh, you're glowing, you're glowing. You're picking up that they're glowing orange, which is a creative color. And if you are, you know, out in the sun a lot, you turn like a golden color. Well, that's the yellow from the solar plexus. Uh, Somebody can, if somebody's really living in their head a lot, they're dark blue, dark purple, and they don't have any of these colors. That's living too much in their head. Somebody who lives too much in their body are possibly lots of red. Somebody who's very materialistic will have a lot of red in their aura, which is the root chakra. They'll have like a reddy orange color of as and they're just really materialistic with very little green and purple and blue, right? So that's how you can become unbalanced. If you are really if you're really not healthy, you'll have very little to no green in your aura. And once you start to get healthy, that green will start to grow a lot. Somebody who talks a lot for their living or writers, they'll have a lot of blue and indigo in their aura because they're expanding their mind and they're reading and they're communicating. Anyways, that's a little bit off topic. Anyways, let's get back to how to repair your karma. So, um, let's get to what the virtues are first. So we know what the seven deadly sins are, and just to just to reiterate what they are, we have wrath, lust, pride, envy. Sorry, I had to think because they're not the same way I usually put them. I usually put them in another way. In this way, I wanted to put them in the chakra in the chakra wave. Sloth, gluttony, and which one am I missing here? Greed. Greed, gluttony, and sloth. All right. Yeah, see, when you get used to a system and then you mix it up, that's hard on my brain. So let's look at what the virtues are then. So we have patience, patience instead of wrath, right? Like they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. That's not what I mean. I'm just giving you patience. Instead of lust, we have chastity. It doesn't mean virginity. I'll get you back to that. Instead of pride, we have humility. Instead of envy, we have kindness, and that's why this one's at your heart. Remember a few ago I said just be kind, just be kind, just be kind. That's why the moon here represents kindness. Instead of greed, we have charity. Instead of gluttony, we have temperance. And instead of sloth, we have diligence. All right. So look how easy that would be. So let's say you do have a lot of vengeance. Let's say you do have a lot of wrath in your system. Well, to reverse that, you'd have to have patience instead of wrath. You'd have to have patience. Now, how do you get that patience if you're just so angry? right? Well, then that's for you to explore. Here under lust is chastity. Now, chastity does not mean virginity. It just means if you want to turn your lust around, and your lust can be for, it doesn't have to be sexual. You can be lusting someone else's car. It's lusting just means you want something that somebody else has or can provide for you, right? So how do you is chastity? So chastity is doing without. So it's, let's say you lust for your neighbor's Lamborghini. Well, to get rid of lust is the chastity of that is to ask yourself, how can I do without this to turn this around? It's, I'm not saying it's easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So what about pride? Well, pride is humility. Humility. And again, we'll get to envy. Envy is kindness. And that's why I keep telling you, if anything, if you just balance your heart chakra out to kindness, some of these will just fall into place because it's the balance here. It's in the middle. And that's, I teach that in my Antichrist video. So under greed, we have charity. All right. For gluttony, we have temperance. Temperance. So instead of being glutton for a lot of food, well, what's temperance? Temperance is only taking what you need. Instead of being a glutton for alcohol, well, what's temperance? Maybe it's not having any, right? Instead of being a glutton for shopping, what's temperance? Well, it's like using what you already have instead of buying more. So then under sloth, we have diligence, and that's what Saturn is. I'm just going to move that up. So that's what Saturn is. Saturn is the taskmaster. That's another reason that I argue that Saturn is the crown. It's not the third eye. And it is sloth and it is diligence. And diligence is, you know, you don't have to work yourself to the bone, but it's doing what you need to do every day, whether it's to look after you or look after somebody else. And so it's quite obvious what we need to do. We just have to look at the sin and then look at the virtue. Now, do you want to live in this whole virtue all the time? I don't. I don't want to, and I don't, because I'm here to enjoy. I'm in here to enjoy some material things, and I'm here to enjoy mind things as well. Read books, watch movies. Right? If you don't do, if all the only person who lives like this is the hermit, with very little food, very little body pleasure, very little mind stimulation. And who can he be kind to? There's nobody there to be kind to. You can be kind to yourself, of course. Being kind to yourself is stopping the gluttony, is stopping the debt, stopping the lust. Like there's recently a girl right now, she's in the hospital in Australia. She's not the sexiest person, most sexually active person or something. I'm like, who would want that label? That's down here in Lust and Mars. And she's in the hospital because she had 500 and some men in one day. I'm like, what is wrong with you? That is so unbalanced. So unbalanced. For her to balance her karma out, she's absolutely going to have to go into chastity to get a belt, baby, because learn to read, right? Expand your mind, expand your spirituality. And this also, this third eye, you can become too spiritual and too expansive and ignore the parts of the world that you're supposed to be here to enjoy. You're here to enjoy physical pleasure. It's when you take it to the nth degree, or you take it from somebody who says no, or you cheat on your partner for it, or you constantly lust at porn, for example. And you look at, that was another reason I wanted to put these out, is that they mirror each other. right? Here's Saturn and Mars mirroring each other, Venus and Jupiter, the Sun and Mercury. And Mercury, of course, this is the magician. Look at, they're both wearing red. Here you are, you come birth from the sun. That's why you have a belly button, right? You cut it from your mother, and you get the silver cord. Here's the moon. The moon is silver, right? If you know this, this creates such a story. You know, I watch a lot of things on the occult, on esoteric things, and you know, they really complicate it, and they really make it more difficult than it needs to be. If all you want to do is clean up your karma, let's say you do have a list of a few things you're regretful for, and we're all human. We all come here to experience that. There's, you know, like I said, unless you're a hermit, you're doing one of these things. Perhaps you are too spiritual. Perhaps you do. You know, this is your galactic federation, or, you know, these are your nuns who then ignore the chastity part, right? The nuns become, you know, or the priests, that part of the Catholic Church or the Christian Church or Catholic Church, whatever church it is, or nuns and priests are Catholic, right? But some other churches demand chastity as well. Look at how they mirror each other here. So if you go over on one, you're imbalancing the other, right? And this is also telling me that sexuality and creation should be spiritual. And when you do too much of this lust, you lose your spirituality, which is your third eye, right? Now, a lot of people are saying, well, I thought that's what the root, if you haven't seen my other videos, your root chakra actually lives in your ankles. It does not live in your bottom. The sacral, that's why it's called the sacrum. The final bone in your spine, your tailbone, is your sacrum. It's because your sacra, that's your sacral chakra. And your solar plexus is where your belly button is. There's no room for the root chakra in there. The root chakra is at your ankles, okay? Also, why would it be that high up and then your legs are just dangling there? No, you touch your feet to get grounded, right? You ground yourself, right? Here you are, you're coming down and you to touch the ground. To touch the ground. So I know a lot of people argue with me with that. That's fine. You believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe what I want to believe, and that's amazing. Okay. And also here is the creation. If you, this is where the greed comes in, and then you become very boastful and pride. You know, I've got a Lamborghini and I've got this massive home, and you start collecting all these assets, perhaps because your greed becomes so big, or your greed becomes so that you create all this money, so you can have all these assets rather than balancing it out. Because what's the opposite of greed is charity, and that doesn't mean you give everything away. Where does charity begin? At home, where your children are born. Right? Now, are there little messages in this card that can help guide us with all of this? Well, yeah, there are. Like, you just look at the sun one here, to be born, and you come through the sun and you come innocent, and you know, you look at this, is there any pride in being naked like this, or is that humility that, you know, here I am, I'm a human being, and there is some humility in nakedness, right? What they've done with the chakras and the pride is unconscionable. They've really turned it upside down. All right, so you look at the Venus. the lust or the chastity, you look and she's covered up quite nicely, yet she's wearing a gown that could be pregnant. She's very comfortable. She's earthly. She's, creative. She's in the creative cycle. If she's upside down, her dress can turn upside down and she can show whatever she wants. But in the Venus card, in the Empress, she's very respectfully dressed. She doesn't even have a low top on. Even her arms are covered right down to her foot, and her feet are crossed at the bottom where the root chakra is. And see, she's got red shoes on and sitting on a red. So she's ready for carnal. She knows what you have to do to create another human being, but she's being very adamant about doing it properly. And she's also, if you notice, the stars on here are 12 stars. It's the zodiac, and it's telling you, she's got the circle here for the Wheel of Fortune to tell you that well, the zodiac is also a symbol for creation or birth, but it's also showing you that it's very spiritual. Recreation is a blessing from God, a blessing from the gods. It's a blessing from, and it should be a spiritual act. That doesn't mean you have to be married or you both have to believe in God or anything like that. But procreation is an expansion of the human beings, is a very spiritual act. And when you use it not as a spiritual act, and spiritual can just be to have sex with someone you love, right? That's spiritual. It's a spiritual event between two people who love each other. That's also okay. It's when you go outside that perimeter and you ignore this part, you're looking at trouble. All right, so even if you look at the Mars here, where you're coming down to Earth to touch the Earth, you can either, if you look at this, if you can see, one is looking at being prepared and one is giving up. All right, so you can either work once you get down here, or you can give up and do nothing. So, one is you can be angry at what happened at you, or you can be prepared and you can have the patience to fix what's wrong. Wrath is also action, right? Because you move with your feet. How can you move with just your bottom? Right? Mars is a very active planet, and you move with your feet. So your patience is you stop and stand still. Wrath is you run after that person and you're angry, and you're angry like Mars, and you create your own tower moments. That's also the tower in reverse, is man-made bad choices. So in some sense, some people switch Mars and Saturn because there's a crown here. That's just telling you it's the hand of God and comes down through your crown all the way to the root chakra. It goes right through everything. Okay, so that's all that means. If you notice, the crown's knocked off. So why would that be on top if it's knocked off? It's telling you it's the hand of God comes down and shakes you up. And shakes you up. And again, the tower can be something good. Tower can be a lottery win. It's something that changes your life. So rather than get angry, so you're in an accident, you get angry, it wasn't your fault. So you get so angry at the other person. Well, what's the answer to that? Does that anger cure anything? Does it fix your car? No, actually being patient. Patience also could be somewhat forgiveness as well, in some respects, when it comes to wrath. Right? Also, a side note here, if you do get into an accident, you're on the wrong path. The universe is trying to stop you. God is trying to stop you from doing something you shouldn't be doing. So if you find you're constantly in accident, you're constantly on the wrong path. You might be with the wrong person, you might be with the wrong job, you might be living in the wrong place. Only you will know what that is. Okay? So just think an accident is something that is testing your patience in some regards, that you've got to stop, right? The root chakra is at your feet. You've got to stop and look around. Take a deep breath. Don't move. Don't do anything. Wait. Root chakra is in your feet. Don't. Okay. What else here? Yeah, let's talk about the heart chakra and the moon being in the heart chakra. Now, the moon is your emotions, right? And it's also the kindness. It's also in Latin called humanatus, so humans, right? And if you look, she's got the moon in her on her headpiece there. She's got the cross, but it's the equal arm cross, which I just taught you about. And if you look closely, behind her is the tree of life. She's your intuition, but this cross here tells me this is for the Christ consciousness. So when you disavow your heart chakra, that's the Antichrist. That's the cross in reverse. Now is this all coming together and making sense for you? And when you have envy, and that's envy for material goods, or maybe that's envy because somebody's smarter than you, or you have envy, for whatever reason, you're out of your heart chakra. So if there's anything that you need to change out of anything, if you don't know where to begin with your heart chakra and begin with kindness. And that's what I've told you many times. If you want to turn your karma around, you have to start with kindness, because you have to start by balancing your heart chakra. And that's what we have, a balance here between black and white. And we have the tree of life. You don't have to learn the tree of life. You really don't. You just have to learn these 7, find out where you're unbalanced, figure out how you can fix it, and see if the cards are speaking to you. Are they telling you anything? You can even, I was going to show you, and I think I've showed you this before in a different way, you can even ask the cards and put more cards down on whichever one. I don't recommend working on a lot of them at the same time. Work on one. And you'll find if you work on one, it'll go much faster than if you try and work on any. And if you don't know where to start with kindness. And kindness doesn't have to be that you go and bring your neighbors something to eat all the time. Kindness can be something as simple as holding a door for somebody. Kindness can be, helping somebody put the groceries in the back seat of their car or something. I know a lot of people are freaked out now because everyone's so freaked out. They've taken kindness right away because now everybody thinks somebody's out to get them about anything. Kindness can be shoveling your neighbor's walk when it's snowing. It can be bringing your neighbor's flowers from your garden. It can be spending extra time with your pet. It can be feeding a bird. It doesn't have to be these. That's the thing. Everybody thinks it has to be this big, huge thing because, I watched this one thing and you have to go up these levels and there's these occult levels and you got to do the tree of life. There's, 10 steps. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Life is very simple. It's super simple, and they make it complicated to keep you in here, to keep you in the Galactic Federation, and to keep you confused. This is confusion up here, and because they're greedy for money, a lot of these things want you to join, or give them your money, or you got to take these courses like Scientology, for example, cost you tens of thousands of dollars. People who've gotten out of the church are embarrassed to say they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's because of all this kind of confusion they've got going on here. So, that's one of the things that, if you're really confused, or you really have to study, or you quite don't understand, don't do it. Like a lot of people, I did the astrology one, they're like, oh, I just don't get this. Fine, that's okay. Get this. This is all you need to know. This is all you need to know. Be kind. And if you don't know what that means, then all you have to do is stop being lustful, stop being prideful, get your ego out of the way, stop being greedy, stop the gluttony, stop the overspending, stop being angry at everyone. And then we get to sloth. Well, sloth is just as bad as wrath, if you ask me. Not doing something about an injustice in the world is just as terrible as being wrathful about it. Diligence, work hard. We're at diligence. If you don't understand diligence, it is basically giving value for what you expect back. So diligence would be you show up for time and you check out at the time that you're being paid for, right? And you work while you're at work. You don't, play games, go chat, right? You give value. And, a good rule of thumb for diligence is actually, believe it or not, the science of getting rich. So it's a treatise on diligence. So if that's something that you think is yours, you're like, yeah, like slothful can be not looking after yourself, not looking after your family, not doing your job that you are being paid to do. Perhaps you're ripping your employer off. Maybe you're not giving proper value. I've know some tarot card readers out there, they're charging ridiculous amounts of money and they just simply aren't getting value at all. Like, I look at what they're offering for what they're charging and I'm gobsmacked, right? So diligence would be to charge what the value is, what you're offering, your services. And yeah, if you think sloth is your problem, that you aren't looking after yourself, you aren't looking after your home, for example, maybe quite living quite cluttered, which is an expansion problem, which is a greed problem. I recommend for that one, The Science of Getting Rich. It's a great treatise on diligence, believe it or not. So that's how you fix your karma. Super simple, but a little bit difficult. Simple to understand, but now you have to do the work. So now you have to do the work. Now you have to turn these things around. And like I said, if you don't know where to start, just start with the heart, the balance of being kind. Right? So, for example, mine, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm very slothful with my body. I hate exercising. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I'm starting to pay the price for that. The karma, the consequence, remember, karma is just consequence. The consequence of being slothful with my body, I'm starting to get my body's starting to break down in different places. So what do I have to do? Diligence. I have to go walk every day. I have to start to eat properly. Right? It can be as simple as that. Maybe you have been too greedy. Well, how can you be too greedy if you're not charging people, well, look at your closet. How many sweaters do you need? How many pairs of jeans do you need? That's greed as well. And do you owe money on those clothes? So is that the outcome of being greedy for too many clothes, more clothes than you possibly wear? What's the outcome on that? Well, perhaps you're in debt, perhaps you have no savings, perhaps your finances aren't as stable as they want. So what's the answer to that? Charity. Give some of it away. Clean out that closet. Clean out that clutter. It doesn't have to be clothes. Maybe you've got a collection of this or that, or I've seen some craft rooms that I'm like, good Lord, how much is invested in this craft room? Anyways, I hope I'm really enjoying teaching these lessons. I sure hope that you're enjoying them to the point that you understand them. And if you want more lessons on other things, I don't know where to go after this. Like after you clean up your karma, what's next? Right? We're all good little people riding around the earth, enjoying this earth and enjoying each other and not harming each other and being kind to each other. And what a wonderful world that would be, wouldn't it? But again, you don't have to live at the top of the virtue, because that's not asked for either. The middle way is the way. The middle way is the way. All right. All right. YouTube is going to show you a video you possibly haven't seen. Why don't you click on that? And I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Take good care. Bye for now.